Thank you everyone for coming. יום הזכרון 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, families of hostages, soldiers, veterans, mothers and fathers. My name is Maor Cohen and I'm the chairman of the IAC EDGE program and a council member here in New York. Today, we stand together, not just as individuals, but as a community of young professionals committed to keeping our Israeli identity, unity, and tradition. Why is it so important that we gather like this? Because together, we keep our stories and our truth alive. Today marks a special day where Israel Memorial Day and Mother's Day meet. How do we honor both of these deeply important days? By remembering the courage of those who fought for our freedom, some of whom made the ultimate sacrifice, and by recognizing the strength of the mothers and fathers who continued in the face of great loss. We're holding today's ceremony at the Nova Festival, a place where the harsh truth of October 7th is displayed through actual evidence of the horrific day. Among us is Hani Ricardo, a brave mother that lives in my building here in New York City. She will share here her deeply sad journey that started on October 7th. Her story is a clear example of the personal loss behind our national remembrance. I also have a personal story to share. During Second Lebanon War in 2006, I served as a combat soldier in an undercover unit, Duvdevan. Meanwhile, my brother was actively engaged in combat inside Lebanon, going from house to house, fighting for Israel. He was severely wounded during one of these missions and lost his best friend, Ben Sela, a friend I knew well. In an act of profound loyalty and bravery, he carried his friend on his back, dead, for 2 miles, just to ensure he could return him to his family. After the war, the weight of these experiences left my brother unable to speak about them. He remained silent for 5 years. To all who have lost someone, especially the mothers and fathers here today, your loved ones inspire us all to be stronger, to live with a purpose, and to uphold the values they fought for. As we honor those who have fallen, we must also look forward. Tomorrow, we celebrate Yom Ha'atzmaut. We transition from mourning to celebration in a way that honors their sacrifices. Yesterday, Eden Golan proudly represented Israel at the Eurovision Song Contest, holding our flag high for all the world to see. In that moment, she showed the world, loud and proud, what Israel stands for. Thank you very much. Please rise for a minute of silence to remember our loved ones who fell in wars and terror attacks. Thank you very much. You may be seated. And now, I would like to invite to the stage a strong mother, businesswoman, a big Israel supporter, the chairwoman of the board of IAC, Israel American Council, Miss Tal Schuster. Please come up to share a few words.
Thank you, Mor. Today, we gather to remember Yom HaZikaron, Israeli Memorial Day, and reflect on the sacrifice made by the IDF and civilians alike. Yom HaZikaron is a day of remembrance, honoring those who have lost their lives defending Israel. It's a day of collective sorrow, uniting us in a grief. As we pay tribute to the fallen heroes who have left behind an irreplaceable void in the hearts of the loved one. Together today, we support the IDF. The IDF mirrors the Israeli society that value life above all. The IDF remain unique as civilians worldwide volunteer during times of conflict, demonstrating an unparalleled commitment, even at the risk of their lives. With a deep-rooted understanding that Israel is the only homeland for the Jewish people, both Israeli and Jewish American communities share a common moral principle. Attempt to divide us will always fail. As we stand here today, we also remember the tragedy that happened at the Nova Festival. On that fateful day, during a celebration of love, life and peace, innocent lives were taken, and many others were cruelly taken hostage. We mourn their loss and stand in solidarity with those who continue to endure unimaginable suffering. Yet, in the face of adversity, it is our unity that sustains us. We must continue to advocate for the state of Israel. Our communities, our IAC communities across the United States will continue to come together and raise their voices. Together we draw strength from each other and determined to build a brighter future. Today, families celebrating Mother's Day, and as a mom of 4, myself, I can't help but reflect on all the mothers who will not be able to see their children today. To the mothers whose children were killed, may their memories be blessing. And to those whose children who are held hostage in Gaza, my heart breaks for you, and we will keep fighting till each one is back home. Thank you. I want to welcome Hani Ricardo to share her stories.
Hi. I dedicate my words today in memory of my beloved Oriya, who gave me 26 years of light, love, and happiness. But as I said so many times over the last weeks, I can't think of Oriya, of my Oriya, especially in this place, without mentioning the 404 other beautiful souls that were brutally murdered at the Nova Music Festival. Her close friends with whom she went to the party, the couple, Sharon Refai and Shachar Mansour, and the brave Eli Rafael, Sharon's brother, who came to rescue them, and he too was murdered with them. And then in memory of the children of my new family, my October 7 family, Roya and Norel Mansouri, Ron Tsarfati, Ron Yehudai, Mapal Adam and Hili Solomon, Omri Achrak, Yarden Buskila, Shon Datyashvili, and all the hundreds of beautiful people who were murdered on October 7th, the flowers of October 7th. Since this exhibition was opened, I found myself here every day. It wasn't planned, it just happened. And every day I found myself telling the story of my beautiful daughter Oria, her close friends, and other kids that their photos are there on the memorial wall, reminding everyone that these are not just photos of victims, but photos of people who lived, people who were happy, smiley, peaceful, reminding everyone that behind every photo there is a story that needs to be told. Every day at the exhibition, I hear people say, "We will never forget." And I answer that this is not enough. Everyone, each and every one of you needs to be active, and not to forget is passive. We need to remember, and we need to remind. We need to speak up so our loved ones will shine bright, even if they are no longer among us. I named my daughter Oria, which in Hebrew means the light of God. She for sure was my light. And right from the beginning, when I said Shiva, it was clear to me that I chose life and that I need to spread Oria's light, because the only way I know to defeat darkness is with light. Darkness of ignorance, darkness of hate, darkness of terrorism, and all of its support all over the New York state, especially in Manhattan, all over the US and other places around the globe. We need to stand up against this darkness with spreading our children's light. Never again. Never again means that we, as Jews, must be united in the understanding that we are here by right and not by grace, anybody's grace. Never again means to stop apologizing for our existence. Never again means we do not hide our Judaism because of violence mob, similar to the Nazi Germany and its affiliates mobs. Never again means it is time to take responsibility, face the voices calling for our destruction, and fight in any way possible against it. Never again, it means you do not ignore the signs before you, dismiss them as it will pass, because they will not unless you do something. Never again, I used to say every time I thought of my ancestors that were victims of Jew hatred under the Nazi occupation and were gassed and burned in Auschwitz. Never again, I tell myself, every time I break to pieces, knowing I have lost my daughter to Jew hatred, Islamic terrorists who murder her only because she was Jewish. Anti-Israel, anti-Zionism, anti-whatever are all the same. And they all call for the annihilation of the Jewish people. They are calling for genocide, our genocide. I'm standing here today with pain and agony, with my heart bleeding, but I am standing. And if I can stand on my feet, then that means that each and every one of us can do that as well. If we won't speak up, no one will do that for us. Oria was full of light, full of kindness. So take her light and spread it on. Spread all the Nova Kids light and together we will defeat the darkness. And if they all hear us up there, I ask them, Asu shalom במרומים, shalom עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ונאמר אמן. תודה.
ליל כוכבים הסער עלה, את שם יושבת שבויה באפלה.
שעה חולפת יום ושנה, ואת עדיין לא מחכה. שנה חולפת יום ושנה, עודך עומדת שבויה באמונה. את פרי גנך תבקשי, מי לך יאמר ומי לך ישיר, מרכבך חוטפים הימים, נותרת לבדך רוצה להאמין
שהנה קרבה אותה השעה שבה הבטיח לשוב בחזרה.
שהנה קרבה אותה השעה שבה הבטיח לשוב ולא שב.
Please welcome the Director of Internal Relations of this exhibition and Nova survivor, Milet Ben Chaim.
Hi, I'm a mess. I'm sorry. How are you guys? My name is Milet. And this day is extremely hard for me. Growing up, I always took this day personally, but with not having a real cause. This is something that we all suffer from. We think we don't have legitimacy to cry if we don't know someone personally. But I was one of those person who used to cry anyway. On October 7th, I tried to escape by car. but since we ran into a pickup truck with tourists on one side of the road, escaping them just to get to more tourists on the other side of the road, we had to ditch the car and escape by running. I ran for 2 hours. While I see the people around me falling down, I got into this small valley, and me and 3 other girls, we hid in a bush for 6 hours. We heard another Israeli guy that was near us being murdered as well. And we got help from 2 amazing heroes, Rami Davidian and Leon Bar. May he rest in peace. Who voluntarily decided to go in and rescue us. Just with their private cars, no weapons. And I got home to discover that my cousin was murdered. And to find out about more and more people, that are not with us anymore. When I was 12, they asked me in school, what is my favorite Jewish costume? Everyone had different answer. They like Pesach, they like whatever, Purim. I said that my favorite one is Shiva. I thought it was really beautiful that when it's so dark and sad, we can be together. How can we move on? It's a question I ask myself every day. Seeing what we saw, witnessing this kind of brutality and hatred. But the answer for that is love and community. Here we have our tribe, the Nova tribe, and it's not easy, but we stand together and we insist on having faith in humankind. And we will not let hatred change our hearts. And we will grow stronger together. And I hope that you all feel the same as I do, that love is stronger than anything, and together we can get past anything. Thank you.
אין לי ארץ אחרת, גם אם אדמתי בוערת, רק מילה בעברית או חודרת אל אורכי, אל נשמתי, בגוף כואב, בלב רעב, כאן הוא ביתי. לא אשתוק כי ארצי שינתה את פניה, לא אוותר לה, אזכיר לה ואשיר כאן באוזניה עד שתפקח את עיניה. אין לי ארץ אחרת.
The next speaker, I'm honored to welcome a person I know well. I had the honor to train him before he joined the army, where he actually served for 8 years straight. Fought also in this very last war, this during war in Gaza. Eli K. He's from Israel and he's here for a visit. Eli served as a company commander in reserve during this war. When he heard about the event of October 7th, where he was here in a visit, he felt he has to go back to help. Please welcome Eli K to the stage.
Hi, my name is Eli. I'm 28 years old, and I'm proud to be the first generation in my family to be born in Israel. My mother, who grew up here in New York, and my father, who grew up in Manchester, made Aliyah over 30 years ago and got married in Israel. I served almost 8 years in the IDF, and I was discharged from the military a year and a half ago as a major in the paratroopers brigade. Like many combat Israeli soldiers being discharged, I moved on to join the reserves, an incredibly special group of people, the best we have. Even after finishing their service, they will come whenever they are needed, leaving their loving families, their jobs, and homes to take part in the defense of our country. I hold the privilege to be a company commander in reserves. We stand here today on this very holy and sacred day outside of the Nova Festival exhibit, one that reminds us what kind of savagery and hate we face, an exhibit that needs to remind us how important it is for us to stand strong and united together. Personally, the events that took place on the 7th of October bring me back to a decade ago. On the 12th of June 2014, Eyal Yifrach, one of my best and closest friends, was making his way back home to celebrate his father's birthday. Eyal never made it home. Eyal was kidnapped and murdered in cold blood, together with Gilad Shaer and Naftali Frankel. These events led us to a painful and devastating 18 days of search until their bodies were eventually found. We all remember those days as we prayed, "Bring back our boys." This eventually led to the 2014 operation in Gaza, Tzuk Eitan, against the murderers from Hamas. On the chilling recordings of a phone call they made to the Israeli 911 on their last moments of life, we could hear the terrorists, Marwan Kawasme and Amer Abu Aisha, ordering the boys to look down, have their faces to the ground as they shot and executed them. On the 7th of October, I was here in the US on vacation. I came to celebrate life and the end of my army service. Early in the morning, I got the first reports and horrifying videos of the atrocities taking place in Israel. I know the Gaza border very well. I spent a significant amount of time out of my service as a combat soldier and officer there. The frustration I had knowing I was here so far away and unable to help was even greater after receiving texts with locations of people trying to help, crying for help, as the Hamas terrorists went on with their massacre, killing families and innocent civilians. During the flight back to Israel, which was full of people coming back to help, I had a deep understanding. We are fighting a long and ongoing war for our survival and our pure existence. We need to be strong, to take responsibility, and come together united. It is going to be a long and very tough ride. As I landed in Israel, I joined the reserves and took command of my company in the 551 Brigade. I met people that finished their obligations to the military a long, long time ago. They left everything behind and came to volunteer. There were civilian organizations, donations and support, and a powerful sense of unity. The hug we received from our friends here in the US and all around the world gave us a boost in morale knowing we are not standing alone. In the coming months, we took part in a big military operation to successfully destroy Hamas's Northern Brigade and headquarters. During this operation, we were able to find and bring back 5 of our kidnapped hostages that were murdered to burial in Israel. This is a war for our pure existence as Israelis and Jews in this world. During the war, I got the terrible news that one of my comrades, who served as my deputy when I was a company commander in the paratroopers, Major Jamal Abbas, may he rest in peace, was killed in combat. Jamal, who came from the Druze community and grew up in Pki'in, believed in the state of Israel and was willing to fight for it. He was killed when he was leading his people, setting an example. Knowing Jamal closely and understanding the terrible sacrifice we have to pay leads to the conclusion: we need to make ourselves worthy of their sacrifice. We need to live our lives to the fullest and know that still, today, there are those who will go to the most dangerous places and fight for us. This Memorial Day for our fallen soldiers and victims of terror is a hard but very special day. It lets us share a small glimpse of the stories of those who lost their loved ones. It makes us remember those who are injured in body and soul. We must never forget them. We must never forget our kidnapped brothers and sisters, and we need to do everything we can to make their silenced voices be heard. In Israel, every year a siren is heard. Everyone stops and stands in silence and respect. Ever since Eyal was killed, when I stand in silence, I hold my head up high, proud to be Israeli and proud to be a Jew. Israel is a strong country and it will continue to be so. We are here to ensure that together. Thank you.
תגיד לי איך לעצור את הדמעות, תגיד לי איפה יש עולם אחר לחיות, תגיד לי למה אין אמת רק הזיות, אז למה לנסות ולהמשיך עכשיו לחיות? לאורך הים אין גלים, יש עולם שנשבר לרסיסים על המזח. לאורך הים אין גלים, יש עולם שנשבר לרסיסים על המזח.
The next speaker, I'm honored to welcome to the stage another brave soldier named Shai Bernstein. He was born in New York and grew up in Israel, and nowadays live in New York. Shai served as a captain in the elite unit of Sayeret Givati. When he heard about the events of October 7th, he felt he has to go back and fight. He was on the first plane back and led his team for 85 days in Gaza, and he is here with us today to share a few words.
I was just telling my wife that before October 7th, this day was so difficult. And after October 7th, Bet Hanun, just north of Gaza City, November 10th, 6 months ago. It was humid and sticky. My chest and back were itching like 700 mosquito bites, a testament to the ceramic vest that hadn't been taken off for the past 11 days. I just changed my socks for the first time that week. Shoes need to be on our feet at all times. You never know when the next RPG may hit. The explosion was very loud. After that, only the sound of silence. A few seconds later, our military radio went haywire, with soldiers shouting, reporting what they saw, and asking for help with the evacuation. We were too far away from them. Moshe Leiter, Zichrono Levacha, my friend who studied with me in the yeshiva in Eli, was killed that night. His team had uncovered a tunnel under a mosque, a tunnel that was heavily booby-trapped with explosives. 4 soldiers were killed in that incident. Moshe, Yossi Hershkovitz, Matan Meir, and Sergei Shmerkin, Zichronam Livracha. Moshe was married to Tzipi and has 6 children. The youngest was just a year old. He was finishing medical school. After 15 years of service in the elite unit of Shaldag. He was such a brave, talented, and admired commander. His willpower was fierce and moved mountains. Even though he was killed just before he turned 40, Moshe achieved more than many do in a lifetime. I only heard the names of the people who were killed in this incident 4 days later. We had no phones, and we were very busy trying to focus on our own mission. I missed his funeral. My wife knew, and our families went to the funeral. Nama and I were only in contact through handwritten letters, passed back and forth with the supply chain every few days. She decided not to deliver the terrible news in a letter. Since I was still in Gaza, I missed the Shiva as well. I saw the recording of the funeral, and his wife, Tzipi, said to her children, "From now on, my loved ones, your father is like all the important things in life. Like love, like light, like emunah, faith, and like happiness. All these things are hidden. We can't see them, but they will forever be in our hearts." My unit was stationed 300 yards from that explosion. We were tasked with the same mission, uncovering and destroying the monstrous network of Hamas tunnels, searching for hostages, and gathering intelligence. Every 13 days or so, we'd leave Gaza for a short break of 30 hours to shower, maybe see some loved ones. Unfortunately, I spent half the time paying other Shiva calls and visiting my soldiers and friends who were wounded in the hospital. October 7th. On October 7th, 9 a.m., I walked into shul with my kids and heard about the situation evolving in Israel. At first, we knew very little of what was going on. I'm sure you all remember that day. One thing was clear. I needed to get my phone, book a flight, and join my unit. My flight was canceled 3 times that day, but on October 8th, I was able to get one of the first flights to Israel via London. While boarding the plane, I asked my parents in Israel to meet me at the airport with my milim bag. My unit serves approximately 30 days each year, and unfortunately, this isn't the first war that we've needed to fight. After I left, my kids, ages 9, 7, and 5, asked my wife, "Why does Abba have to go?" And she answered so eloquently, "When Israel needs us, we come." That's my wife. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge my wife Naama, as well as all the other spouses of soldiers who have been called up. They often don't receive the recognition they deserve. They play an integral role in defending the state of Israel, and we couldn't have accomplished anything without them. My unit was tasked with securing the parameters of the Nova Festival, helping Zaka with the bodies, and searching for more terrorists in the area. Words cannot describe the aftermath of this attack. At times, it felt a bit like a movie set. We couldn't believe it was real. Once we entered Gaza, our team, Chapak Samgad, the Deputy Battalion Commander Squad, included 6 reservists. Our team discovered a Hamas stronghold based in an UNRWA school. In that complicated mission, my team of 6 was hit by an RPG. 3 of the 6 of us, Chemo, Damari, and Lieberman, were wounded. All the team are married with kids, except Damari, who decided while he was injured in the hospital to propose to his girlfriend. They're getting married this summer. Later on, we discovered a shaft of Hamas tunnel based out of a hospital. Our unit exposed 14 tunnels and collected essential intelligence that, to quote Herzi Halevi, the chief of staff of the IDF, played into strategic decisions for the next units that entered Gaza and saved many lives. This was our small part in a very complex operation. I never thought one could be in 2 places at the same time. Over the past 7 months, I've been going back and forth, physically and mentally, from America to Israel, and from Gaza to New York City. A parallel universe. One moment I'm on the phone with my friend who can't sleep because of the pain. He's lying alone in his hospital bed since he can't sit or walk. 2 minutes later, I find myself on a call with a client discussing how we can improve the user experience and increase sales by 6%. A parallel universe. During these days of remembrance, Yom HaShoah and Yom HaZikaron, I often think of a short poem written by Tzur Ehrlich, an Israeli journalist. I'll read it first in Hebrew, it's only 2 sentences, and then in English. בהפרש של שבוע, 2 ימי זיכרון, סמוכים, כל שנה. לטובת החישוב הכללי, כמה עולה לנו עם מדינה, וכמה עולה לנו בלי. A week apart, every year, 2 Memorial Days, help us count the cost of the state of Israel and the cost without. While we are fortunate to be able to defend ourselves and to have the state of Israel, it comes with a heavy price. To all those who have fallen and whom we cherish forever in our hearts, to their loved ones whom they left behind, To the physically and mentally wounded, who sacrificed parts of their body and their souls, and to their families who are part of their daily battle for recovery. We are forever in your debt. To quote Natan Alterman, you all are the silver platter upon which the state of Israel was given to us.
Thank you all for being here with us today, hearing the crazy and amazing and just unbelievable stories. Before we conclude, I want to thank IAC for bringing this ceremony to the Israeli-American community. It's not every day, you know, here in the States, as a few said, people are celebrating Mother's Day, and Memorial Day, it's more of a barbecue day for them. We're still in the morning point. So before we conclude, we'll sing the American and Israeli anthems. Please welcome Karin Hershkovitz-Kochavi to sing the Tikva, to sing first the American, and then we'll do the Israeli. So first the US anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. And now, Hatikva with Karin Hershkovitz-Kochavi, Israel-American content creator, singer, and influencer.
Please join me. כל עוד בלבב פנימה נפש יהודי הומיה ורפתי מזרח קדימה עין לציון צופיה עוד לא אבדה תקוותנו התקווה בת שנות 2000 להיות אותם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון ירושלים, אותם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון וירושלים.
This is something that you only say in Hebrew. תם הטקס.